The threats are still the same. The threat is fanaticism, radical Islamism, ISIS. The Kurds, you have been such a rampart against ISIS, but it's not finished. You are still this rampart. ISIS is still a threat. They have still some people on the ground, still some sleeping cells, and so on. So the threat is, of course, less threatening than it was 10 years ago when I was on front line with the brave Peshmerga. Less threatening because you did a great job and because you got rid of a big part of the threat, but it is still here. And I hope that the Western countries are aware of this presence of the threat still now. Yeah, it can be ISIS. It can be ISIS under another name. It can be a coalition of, but the Kurds have to be ready, and we, the West, have to be aware. You ready, us aware. That's the point, which I mean, absolutely, because at the end of the day, I know. I don't know any force who has done the job since 10 or 20 years and who is still able to do it. The Kurdish army, the Peshmerga, and the Kurds in Syria, it is an army with experience of the battlefield, with experience of the threat, knowing how to fight, knowing how to use the weapons which we, the West, deliver. So, of course, the situation is this one. And you are still on front line. You are still on front line. As for myself, I did not change my mind since 30 years. I believe that the condition for stability in the Middle East is a Kurdish state. A Kurdish state. This is the condition for stability, for peace, for tolerance in the area, and so on. So, of course, ISIS is the worst threat, but centralization is a very bad thing too, because what do we call what centralization means? It means interdiction for the Kurds to have a state. It means authority of artificial states upon the Kurdish people in Iran, in Turkey, in Iraq, and in Syria. The Kurdish people is a real people. A Kurdish state would be a natural state, if I dare say. The Syrian state and the Iraqi state are failed states. It does not work. You cannot put together Alawite, Druze, Kurds, Arabs. It will just not work. So centralization is a problem. ISIS is a threat. Centralization is a problem. And Kurdish autonomy today and independence tomorrow is the solution and the answer. This is my conviction. Absolutely. Decentralization, at least. But I think that more should be obtained. If there is one stateless people in the world that deserves a state, it is the Kurds. All stateless people deserve a state, no doubt. But the most deserving, the one who deserves most, who paid such a high price, is the Kurdish people. When you are waiting, when you have been waiting for so long, when you have been a victim of genocide, when you have accepted so many sacrifices, when you have waged a war for yourself and for the West, and when you demand a state, the least which the world can do is to accept the state. I mean, the international community, the Western state, your so-called allies. I tell you that because I remember, for me, it is a black day of my life, a black day. The day of the referendum in Kurdistan, in KRG, when President Massoud Barzani organized this consultative referendum on independence. It was not a decision, it was just a consultation of the Kurdish people in KRG. A huge majority, as you remember, voted for that. 90% voted in favor of independence one day. Remember the reaction of the world. Remember the blockade. Remember how KRG was cut from the rest of the world. Remember how the allies in the West really dropped you flat, abandoned you. This is a shame. What would be the threat? I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question? Of course. Everyone has a responsibility. Yeah. You need cold blood, you need spirit of responsibility, and you need compromise everywhere. Also in KRG, of course. In any democracy, we are facing this problem in France. You have some moments when you have to think that the public interest is more important than the interest of your party, the interest of your faction, and so on. And for this, you have to make sacrifice, yes. And no government is the worst. We have been at the edge of that in France, so I know the situation. So I hope this will not happen in KRG. I hope it will not happen for too long in Iraq. This would be a disaster. Yes, of course. I don't want to enter too much in internal policy, but I think that the ball is in the field is in Baghdad, not in Erbil. The ball, the responsibility, the need for concession and for compromise is in Baghdad today. Erbil already paid so much, honestly, and years without Peshmerga being paid, humiliation of KRG, the budget not fulfilled by the central government, and so on. So now the ball is in the camp of Baghdad, honestly. I will certainly not say what Erbil should do. Baghdad, Iraq, as any country of the world, as every country, has allies, okay? There is one ally which is a little too heavy in Baghdad. The hand of this ally is a little too heavy, and I mean, by saying that, I mean Iran. It is one thing to have an ally, and it is another thing to be submitted to this ally. It's another thing to become an instrument of this ally. It's another thing to be in the hand of this ally. And I fear that this is the situation for which is happening now in Baghdad since a few years. And it's a shame because all parts of Iraq, the Kurds, of course, but the other part of it deserve freedom. I don't believe in empires, and especially when this empire is the empire of an authoritarian or a totalitarian state, as Iran is. Baghdad deserves better than being a colony of Tehran. I know there is a lot of problem in Iraq. Some problems are here since the war of the American war in Iraq 20 years ago, 22 years ago, but it is not the only one. And Iraq today should be able to govern itself without accepting to be a puppet of another power in the area, which is Iran. And I'm sure that there is other hypotheses for Iraq, other allies, other groups of countries, of which Iraq could be part, and not Iran. The fact that Assad went away is already a great change, honestly. It was such a murderous regime, it was such a barbarity, and all that we discovered since then in the jails, the mass graves, and so on, says a lot about the good news, which was the fact of toppling Bashar al-Assad. After that, there is a real problem. The people who rule Syria today, are they just former jihadists, or are they still jihadists under disguise? There is a debate in the world today, as you know. You have some, in France, you have a lot of people who believe that Jolani changed, that he is no longer what he was, and so on. I doubt. This was, again, let me pursue on the point. For me, jihadism is not just an option which should decide to take or to drop. You know, it is not just embracing a budget or not embracing the budget. It is not just a political decision which you can change overnight. Being a jihadist is a strong choice, which is an ideology as itself, which is part of you, and you don't quit that just by decree. It never happens. I have, I think, a bit of experience of that in the area, out of the area, and I never saw that. So I have strong doubts on the nature, the reality of the regime which is ruling Syria today. That's why I would be so happy that at least the Kurdish entity splits. No, they should keep asking for that, but the real question is addressed to us, to the West. We should support this asking. We should support this demand. It's not only the Kurds it is the interest of the Kurds, and it is the interest of the West. This real federalization, this real autonomy for the Kurds in Syria, the fact that the Kurds in Syria take their destiny in hands, this is our common interest. It is not only the affair of the Kurds themselves. And I know that in America, the topics which we are discussing today, they are no longer on the map of America. I know. That's why there should be a pressure on Damascus. Jolani is received in Paris, is received in Washington, tries to have good relationship with the West. The fate of the Kurds should be put in the balance. Moscow, this is another story. But as for the West, it should be one of our requirements in the balance. We accept to deal with Damascus under the condition that federalization is respected, autonomy is given to the Kurds, etc. For us, it should be a red line, and it is not. I did not hear that in Washington since long, and I'm not sure to hear that enough in Paris. It depends on. It depends a lot on Iran. Did they understand that they lost the war, or are they crazy enough? Are they unconscious enough to believe that they could retaliate to the retaliation? I hope not. I hope not, because it would be really a huge blast. A huge blast. I remember 1 year and a half ago, when Iran took the risk of dropping this rain of missile on Israel. It was criminal, and it was just stupid. So I hope Tehran learned from their mistake. I hope so. But my real hope, madam, my real hope is that the women in Iran are liberated. My real hope is that the human rights militants are free. My real hope is the change of regime. Change of regime. Iran is a great people. They deserve better than the Ayatollah. I hope that the time of the shocks is over. I hope that the West will choose the right allies. I hope that an ironclad alliance will be nodded and created between the West, the Kurds, the Arab countries, signatories of Abraham agreements. There is a time for peace which comes and which is at reach.